This is big breaking emergency news. There was just a major announcement made by the White House, and you need to take this serious because they are prepping us. They are creating the narrative, and there are things going on as well, but the narrative is being set that we are going to have a big event domestically, and we could see major critical infrastructures taken offline, right? And that is what the White House just warned of today, and they're really pushing this narrative that this is happening domestically and it could get a lot worse very soon, right? So you need to be prepared, right? You need to be stocked up. You need to have your tanks filled up, your water tanks, your gas tanks, your car tank, right? Whatever you have, fill it up, get it ready, because they keep giving us these urgent warnings, and I'm worried that it's going to happen very soon, whether it's a false flag or whether it's real, right? Because there are countries that have these real capabilities as well that are attacking the US. And that is what the White House is warning right now, that we are under attack, and they are now responding. There have been executive orders signed. There have been sanctions put in place, right? And they are criminally charging people for these attacks on the US right now, right? So you need to be getting ready for a potential big one. And they're putting out the narrative and the messaging that it's going to happen soon domestically, and we need to get ready. All right, so really quick, hit that like, hit that subscribe for me to help get this video out. I'm posting multiple times a day, keeping you guys updated on this big urgent news. All right, let's dive into this here. You can see here that the Biden administration has just implemented sanctions, signed an executive order, and are having criminal charges because of attacks on U.S. critical infrastructure. That's what's happening right now. It says the Biden administration sanctions Chinese hacking firm for cyber attacks on U.S. infrastructure. All right, it says the Justice Department indicts 7 who targeted the White House, Congress, and dissidents, right? And they also targeted our critical infrastructure, and even the U.S. military was targeted, and they're worried that confidential and secret military documents were compromised from this as well. All right, you can see here it says the U.S. government imposed new economic sanctions Monday on a Chinese company linked to Beijing's Ministry of State Security spy service, accusing the firm of conducting cyber attacks against critical U.S. infrastructure, the Treasury Department announced. It says, in a related action, the Justice Department indicted 7 Chinese state-linked hackers who were charged with targeting senior U.S. officials, including at the White House and in the Senate, along with critics of the Chinese Communist Party, in cyber attacks. All right, this is happening domestically in the U.S., and they are really warning that something big is going to happen. And these backdoors, they've already been compromised. And them announcing sanctions against these companies is very serious, right? This is how things started with Russia, as the U.S. announced sanctions and started weaponizing the monetary system against Russia as well. That's how wars start out. That's how wars always start. They always start out economically. And we are already in a cyber war and also in a economic war. So we could see responses from China from this as well. They could sanction or block off certain parts of our supply chain, since we are so dependent on them, since we have gotten rid of all of our domestic factories. And you can see here in this other article about this was posted on CNN, where they were talking about it. And it said here that hackers targeted, quote, some of America's most vital critical infrastructure sectors, including a defense contractor that made flight simulators for the U.S. military, the U.S. Treasury Department said while announcing sanctions against 2 of the men. It says the State Department announced a reward of up to $10 million for information on the 7 men. So they're even warning that defense contractors are being hacked as well. All right, and we've seen cyber attacks on some of the biggest plane and military contractors, aircraft contractors for the military just a few months ago. And that could be related to this, right? This is happening right now. And this is a major risk because this could be part of the reason why we are seeing all these problems with our planes. The FBI announced that they are having a criminal investigation from when the door blew off of the plane of that Alaska Airlines a few months ago. Criminal investigation, that means they are looking into sabotage of this. They are worried that somebody's sabotaging the planes, right? And that's physically sabotaging. And they're also worried that the back-end systems are also being sabotaged as well and being compromised. All right, so this is very serious. And we've seen a bunch of weird things. Remember that jet last year in South Carolina that went missing? Nobody could find it. Remember that? Remember the pilot had to eject and they couldn't find this U.S. military jet that was in the woods, somebody's property in South Carolina. You can see here, if you guys don't remember, all right, it says the Marine Corps called 911 to report this missing F35 jet in South Carolina after a mishap, all right? And it says the jet went missing in 2023 before its remnants were found in a rural area. Newly released audio files show that the Marine Corps called 911 after one of their F-35 fighter jets went missing last September in South Carolina. All right, so something's going on with our military, and they are worried, and they are now sanctioning China and saying that potentially they are doing it and responsible, right? And this is a major red flag, a major false flag, red alert too, because what if these planes are compromised somehow? They're able to take control. Then what are they able to do? Right? We know that technology like this exists, and it seems like they're potentially worried about things like this happening. Right? We could see a repeat of what happened in 2001. So be on the lookout. They're getting us prepared for something big, and they're warning us, warning after warning. They just warned us last week as well that they are targeting U.S. water infrastructure to be shut offline, to be taken offline. All right? They've been giving these warnings. They've been building this narrative for a few years now, specifically with China saying that they are a major cyber threat and have all these backdoors. And it's true, because all of our technology, everything has been built in China, and they knowingly put backdoors into their technology. Just what they do. All right, we do that too. Apple does that. American companies do that as well. They have their own backdoors. But it's a big problem in even these apps, right? Say what you want about TikTok, things like this, but they are giving backdoor access to China. That is a real threat, right? Whether you want it banned or not, that actually is happening, and it's a real threat. I don't have it on my phone, and that's a reason why I'm not on there, is because I don't want to be exposed to that. And of course, you're just exposed to other companies, American companies, right? But you can only mitigate your risk so much. And this was also just announced in the UK as well. UK just had a similar announcement, and similar sanctions were announced for these Chinese companies. You can see here, this was on the same day. So this is a coordinated event. The US and the UK are lining up for something big. They're getting prepared for something big to happen. Whether it's real, which it definitely could be, or there's something fishy going on, which that could happen too. But there are real threats, and there are real escalations happening. US troops are in Taiwan on an outskirt island of Taiwan, literally a mile away from Chinese borders. All right, I've reported on this just a few days ago, and I was showing on the map. They're a mile away from major Chinese beaches and shores. U.S. troops right there. All right, so you can see here, though, it says UK and U.S. accuse China of, quote, malicious global cyber attacks. It says officials in Britain and the U.S. on Monday filed charges and imposed sanctions on alleged spies linked to the APT31 hacking group. All right, and they are saying that this group is directly linked to the Chinese government. All right, you can see here it says Chinese spies are likely to use stolen details to target dissidents and critics of Xi Jinping's government and the UK. British intelligence services believe. All right, they're saying it's a, quote, prolific hacking operation backed by the Chinese government, sought to, quote, repress critics of the Chinese regime, compromise government institutions, and steal trade secrets, U.S. Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco said. All right, and he said the hackers sent more than 10,000, quote, malicious emails to targets to gain access to personal information, U.S. prosecutors said, adding the criminals threatened to, quote, undermine democracies and threaten our national security. All right, so this was a mass phishing campaign. They were trying to impersonate journalists, things like this, and trying to get access and get officials to click on links, and it actually worked. It worked for a lot of them, right? Because people didn't realize. People thought it was legit, and that's all it takes sometimes. And then they have backdoor access into your computer, all right, if they're able to get a download, and especially if you go to some kind of fake website and enter in credentials where you think you're logging into something, right? You think it's somebody emailing you, somebody important, and then you get a fake email and you try to log in and enter your credentials into this fake website that looks like a real website. All right, you know, some alerts like, oh, you have to log in, something's going on. And it gets people that way as well. It's just normal things, right? Stuff that everyone has to deal with. They're targeting everyone with this, all right? This stuff happens all the time. And this article just came out last week, March 19th, 6 days ago. They're warning that cyber attacks are hitting water systems throughout the U.S. And Biden sent letters out to all the governors warning them, right? So this is serious, and they are getting us prepared for something big to happen, right? So whether you think it's, oh, this is mumbo jumbo, this is not whatever, whether you think it's not real or anything, they're getting prepared for it. And they're saying it's going to happen. So you need to be getting ready. You need to have a buffer. You need to have preps so you're good to go, right? Because if the power goes off, it could go off right now while you're watching this video. Lights could go off. What are you going to do? What's the first thing you're going to do? You need to have a plan, all right? You need to be able to have water. You need to be able to have a generator, right? You need to be able to have gas tanks filled up so you can go get your generator cranked up right away, ready to go. Get the fridge plugged in, get a light on, get some stuff going, all right? Because it could happen at any moment, and you need to be ready for it. And it could happen overnight. I remember this happening a bunch of times, sleeping through hurricanes or big storms, living down here in the South, where you go to sleep and then you wake up and the power's off. It's happened a bunch of times. And it's just from the storm, you know, a pole got knocked over, something along those lines. But if it's something like this, where the systems are taken offline, it's shut down, it could go on for days, weeks, months even. Sometimes these cities that are under these attacks, they have to take off their 911 systems offline for months, right? And their electricity, paying their bill online, paying their trash bill, paying their water bill, all this stuff, all these systems are being affected, right? There's people, millions of people still being affected right now from this healthcare hack. People can't get their prescriptions. This is happening right now. And also, people can't get normal care as well because doctors and providers, they cannot do any billing. It's the entire billing system for half the country. The medical billing system is offline right now. Nobody's getting prescriptions. Nobody's getting their insurance cleared. Nobody's able to charge anyone, collect payments, anything. Doctors are paying, some of them, tens of thousands of dollars out of pocket because all their money is tied up in this billing glitch, right? People are paying them, but the money is not transferring over. It's not being sent to their account, right? This is so they're just in limbo right now with their funds. This is happening right now. And this is bad, right? If there's a major attack on the US domestically, then our medical system is already hindered in dealing with all these issues. They're already at a diminished capacity. All these hospitals going offline the past year. Every few months, there's entire hospital networks going offline. All right, been reporting of them every month or two. Major hospital outages around the country. All right, so get ready now. Get prepared now, guys. Please hit it up for me down there. I appreciate that. I hope you have big blessings for your life and your family. And I hope you have a big old blessed day.